Hello movers, welcome to Move Daily Hustle. This is our public group, as you know. I'm just going to switch my camera around here. And this week in our group, we're focusing on menopause, fitness, wellness, nutrition. How do you go about doing all that whilst in the middle of a life change? I'm in the middle, so I'm right stuck in the middle with you all. And what a lovely time it is. Anyway, I'm excited to talk about this session today. We're talking about how to build muscle in menopause and some of the things that we could be doing. Of course, the mechanism is still the same. You know, it doesn't matter who you are on how to build muscle. The science is still the science, but with the variable of now introducing a hormonal shift and change. That's what we're going to take a look at today. So thanks for joining. Well done to Kim for all of the information that she's provided so far in the Move Daily Hustle group this week. It's been very informative. I love those little snippets. And as you saw at the top of our page, we do have a guide. So you can go back anytime and just click the little guide button. Sometimes it's not maybe visible right across the search bar. There might be a little drop down arrow. I can't remember on the Move Daily Hustle page where it is, but fool around with that and you can take a look. And it's very easy to come back and enjoy all this information. This will also be posted there, so you can always come back for reference. So today, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And number one, are you trying to build muscle or maintain muscle right now as you age? Where are you at in terms of muscle building? Trying to gain, trying to maintain. We will talk about both of those and the strategy that you might need to go about doing that. So today's talk, we're going to talk about what should a program include? If you're trying to build muscle, what should that include? Why is it important that we focus on muscle building at this stage of our lives? Number three, what are the benefits of exercise? Okay, and this can keep you motivated if we understand the criticalness. Like seriously, this is why I am in it for the long haul. I've seen the science, I've seen the research, and I'm like, you know what? This is a no-brainer for me. And I hope after today's talk, it'll be a no-brainer for you as well, okay? We're also gonna look at some first principle thinking, basically sort of look at the foundation of building muscle. What are the elements that we need to know and be aware of? How does muscle actually get built? Okay, we'll take a look at that. And what are the variables given this stage of our life in menopause with a decrease in estrogen? What do we need to consider about that? All right, shall we jump into it? Yes, let's do it. So what should my exercise program look like? Maybe I had a more of a sports-oriented program growing up in terms of fitness. Maybe you're just getting into it and you're like, I don't even know where to start. What are some of the basics that should be included in your program currently, especially in this season of life of menopause? Well, according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, and I have a specific abstract, so if anyone wants any of these things that I'm talking about, drop it in the comments below. I'll post it after the talk. But this abstract showed that the elements that should be included in our training, in our fitness, should be strength training, aerobic or cardiovascular training, and then balance or stretching, yoga, agility, tai chi, things of that sort. This abstract actually showed that women start to exercise way less as they enter menopause, unfortunately, which can, of course, lead to weight gain. So as we age, our age goes up, guess what happens? Unfortunately, our metabolism goes down. And what's our metabolism? That is the rate at which your body burns calories for fuel. So you age and that goes down. Which kind of sucks, but that's just basically how it goes. What are you going to do about it? Our metabolism decreases because our muscle mass decreases, and it decreases at a rate of about 0.5 pound a year. Holy Hannah, because in 10 years, we are down substantially in muscle mass. The problem is most of us haven't allotted for that in our caloric intake. So you're eating the same, maybe you're eating more, you're losing muscle, which helps your furnace turn on, and now you're gaining weight and you wonder why. right? Metabolism is slowing down and women just don't adjust their caloric intake. So what do we think is going to happen? We're going to gain weight. Movement is muscle. Movement of muscle is metabolically demanding. You're a furnace. So when you move more, when you lift weights, when you make your body more metabolic by doing resistance training, you can actually eat a little bit more as well. But if you don't do that and then you don't account for that caloric intake, you don't have that calorie burn either. And so that's how the weight gain happens. So why is resistance training important? Well, it's important for sure for posture, right? Think about as we're aging, we start to get that sort of internal rotation. Shoulders start to slump. We've seen some women in our lives probably have that dowager's hump and really begin to lose their posture. What do you think holds the posture back? What do you think holds those rhomboid muscles and the shoulders back? It's that strengthening muscle in the back. So if we stop doing that or don't even do that at all, our chances of losing our posture are really, really great. And that's going to impact how alert you are, how sleepy you are, even how you breathe. So it's super beneficial as we age, as it also increases our bone density. And we'll get to that in a little bit about osteopenia or osteoporosis and the risk of that as we age and as we lose estrogen. So when we bear weight in our ligaments and joints, when we carry heavy things, hold heavy things, it stimulates the muscle fibers and helps to bear weight on those bones, which helps increase the density. I just had someone who's actually a bone density scanner comment on my Instagram because I was talking just about sort of making this a habit and a lifestyle. And she said, it's funny because I've spent my life scanning people's bones, understanding that resistance training actually builds up bone density and not doing it myself until just this last year. She's like, say what, why am I like, I don't do what I say, what I tell other people to do. I'm like, yeah, isn't that true of us lots? Okay. So it's important for that. The loss of muscle is actually called sarcopenia. So as women age, many may develop like an intense sarcopenia. And it's actually in the Greek, this translates to poverty of flesh. The poverty of flesh. Sounds kind of gross, but literally we're losing that flesh, that tissue, that thick, nice tissue is depleting from our body. The loss of muscle mass and strength with age is becoming recognized as a major cause of disability and morbidity in the elderly population. And if you have a chronic disease, which I'm sure some of us do here, muscle loss is actually accelerated. So it's inevitable for all of us. And whether or not it becomes actually a clinical problem is determined by the amount of muscle mass you have as it starts to decline. And now that is interesting. So if we've been working out a large portion of our life, building muscle, being active, bearing weight on our ligaments and joints, when the time comes as we start to age, that muscle mass is going to help carry us through and keep us healthier. But again, it becomes a clinical problem if we have zero to start with, right? So maintaining, sustaining, increasing, because we know we're losing. So this becomes now a profound reason if we want to keep our posture, keep our breathing, prevent disease, prevent decay, prevent osteopenia. Very important. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of exercise during menopause? Well, this is from the National Library of Medicine. This is an abstract I found there, really highlighting for women what some of the benefits of doing exercise and resistance training specifically are. So number one, exercise increases our cardiorespiratory function. Of course, that is essential. We know that an increased cardiovascular system is going to help increase our telomere length, which is basically those little pieces on the end of our DNA, which can let us know our longevity span, like our lifespan. Okay, the longer they are, the longer we live, typically speaking. It helps increase our brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which can help stave off things like Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety. Okay, so we know cardiovascular exercises does all these things. If done regularly as well, it can also reduce metabolic risk associated with that decline in estrogen. It increases our HDL, which is our good cholesterol. It decreases our LDL and our triglycerides. And there's an added benefit of reduced risk of high blood pressure, heart attack, strokes. Okay, one great benefit there. Number 2, exercise can help create that calorie deficit and minimize midlife weight gain. Let me know in the comments below if you exercise to minimize midlife weight gain. Me. That's definitely part of it for me. I want to be able to have my cake and eat it too. And I recognize that as I exercise, that creates that deficit. So that's part of the reason why I'll do it. Number 3, it increases the bone mass. So strength training. This is where our strength training comes in. And impact activities like walking or jogging or running can help offset the decline of bone mineral density and prevent osteoporosis, okay? It's also proven to help reduce stress and improve mood. And this is important because so often as we age, it's our mood that can cause us to open up that pantry and just go to town. So that's important. It may also help to reduce hot flashes, thereby minimizing the domino effect. Again, this is an abstract. I can link this, so if you want more information, I'm not going to go into full detail about this, but I will link that and you can take a look. If you already have osteoporosis though, and some in this group might, it's not recommended that you do these high impact activities or exercises where you could fall. Obviously, your bones are already fragile, right? Or sit-ups or toe touches or things that are going to compromise your spine should be avoided as well. But there are still things you can do. You know, I have a girlfriend who's an ectomorph, so she's quite a slight woman, small bones. So she's just prime almost for osteoporosis, right? And her doctor recommended that she wear a weighted vest around the house. So again, you're bearing weight on the ligaments and joints in a low impact way. You're carrying the load. You're just holding weight. So very important to increase our bone density as well. Okay, let's talk about some of the principles, all right? What we need to know. What are the principles of strength training and specifically hypertrophy? That's building of the muscle, and that's why we're here today. You want to know how to build muscle. Just in the comment here, Jill says, for some reason I've never gotten hot flashes, luckily, mainly insomnia. Yes, I have that a little bit too. Good times. Okay, so what are the foundations? And then what are the variables given where your body's at with menopause? That's what we're going to talk about now. Okay, how does a body build muscle? Let's think about this for a second. There are 3 categories. So muscular strength is one category. Likely most of us are not in this category. This is where you're like, okay, I really want to increase my strength and muscle size. This is like, I just want to build. You would probably be hiring a specific coach. You'd be in a specific program, in a protocol, and this requires a lot of intensity. So you're lifting heavy weights. Typically speaking, your rep range is anywhere between 4 to 6 reps per exercise. You're doing multiple sets, and you're resting a lot in between because you're lifting so heavy. You're very close to your 1 rep max. Okay, like typically speaking, you're in that 70 to 80 to 90% of that 1 rep max. So for most of us, that's probably not where we're at in terms of wanting to lift weights and build muscle. Hypertrophy is very likely where a lot of us are. This is where I do most of my classes and workouts are in hypertrophy. So the driver of hypertrophy then is volume. So it's like how much are you doing in a given week is going to be the determinant, the mechanism for muscle growth, okay? So if you just work out once a week, but maybe you work in that hypertrophy range, that rep range, which is typically speaking is 10 to 12 reps, okay? If you just do that once a week or twice a week and all you're doing for resistance training is that much and splitting up all your body parts, you're not likely going to see much muscle growth at all. Okay, I'll talk about a more precise formula that you can incorporate if you really do want to see some increase in size. But volume is really key here. So it'll have to be hit multiple times in a week in order for you to see that muscle adapt and to grow. Hypertrophy, the driver for hypertrophy, endurance, muscular endurance is time. Working at holding a plank for a long period of time, you're going to teach the muscle endurance. You're holding lighter weights and doing higher reps like we do in our bar workouts. Like burn factor, you're still going to get some muscle adaptation, some muscle growth, okay? But it's in a different way than your muscular strength or hypertrophy. This one's intensity, muscular strength, volume is hypertrophy, and time is for endurance, okay? So all of these need, oh yeah, I'm right there. All of these need actually a progressive overload of sorts. You've heard me talk about that. I actually even have a workout called progressive overload where I'm taking one of these strategies and implementing it into the workout specifically. So if you want muscle adaptation, if you want to improve, you cannot do the same thing day in, day out, week after week after week. You just won't shift. Your body won't adapt. It won't switch. Your muscles just won't get that adaptation that you're looking for. So it's really necessary to push the system. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of different ways that you can do this. And it's wonderful because there are lots of different strategies to get that adaptation for the muscle. But if you don't push and challenge the body, right, and push the system, you can still maintain, and maybe that's where you're at, and maybe you're happy with that. Lots of us are at the maintain. Lots of us want to build and adapt and change and shift. Love to hear where you're at right now in the comments below. Do you want to grow the muscle and change what you've got? Or are you happy with where you're at and maintenance is fine for you? I go through different seasons. I definitely do. So that's okay if you do as well. Some seasons, like we had, I've done lots of different events where we've done like hikes or runs or, strong woman competition type of thing. And so I definitely have kicked it up for a season and then I've maintained for a season, then kicked it up for a season and then maintained. What I've never done is dropped off for the season because people like us don't do things like that, right? Smash the like button if that is right. We sustain, we continue, we move daily because that's who we are. All right, so if you want to progressively overload to cause this muscle adaptation and you want to improve and push your system, you can do a couple of things. All right, so can you see the board right there? Let me just tilt this a little bit. I tried to make that high as I could. All right, duration. So here's some of the ways that we progressively overload. And you can see that I do this in some of the workouts too. So duration, like how long is the workout? Sometimes it's 30 minutes, but all of a sudden now I'm here for 60 minutes. And in a week, if I did more longer duration, I would definitely have that adaptation. My muscle would have to go, we're working out again. I got to rise to the occasion. Here we go. And it would adapt. Speed is one of them. And sometimes, like if you just kind of say, okay, I'm going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to take this 30 seconds. Go as fast as you can. And you can see that's going to challenge the heart. It's going to challenge the recruitment of the muscle. It's going to challenge the muscle fibers. So lots will be challenged. Reps. Sometimes, you might do like a burnout round where you're doing 25 reps or 30 reps. And I even have a lateral raise burnout where I do 100 reps. So rep range is challenging. The weight amount can be a challenge. You can start at one weight. Round 2, you can go up the weights. Round 3, you can go up again another 5 pounds. And that increase, again, is the progressive overload. If you just stayed the same, I'm just going to hold 8 pounds for all 3 sets, and you always do that, you're not going to get the adaptation that you need for growth, okay? Consistency is big. Right? Sometimes people just one workout a week, and then I'm too busy. I can't do it this week. And then I'll wait till next week. That's fine if that's how your life is and you're okay with that. But don't expect growth if that's going to be your routine. Okay? Consistency is important, especially in hypertrophy. Remember, we're looking for volume here. the amount of times in a week that you hit those muscles specifically. That is how muscles will respond and adapt. Okay, and the last one is time. Oh, sorry, did I say consistency? Yeah, consistency and then time. So yeah, the amount of, sorry, this duration might have been the duration of the exercise specifically. Time refers to the amount of time that you are doing the workout, okay? So all of those variables are super important, and it's wonderful because you can pick just one of those things and have a great adaptation. Your muscle will just instantly go, okay, yep, let's rise to the occasion, and we'll switch. So what's the most effective, what are the variables that can change the outcome? Okay, so let's just take a look at some of the variables that can change outcome. So if I'm training in hypertrophy and I'm working at that 10 to 12 rep range and I'm trying to isolate some of my muscle groups throughout the week, maybe I'm really focusing on chest and triceps, and then I'll do back and biceps, and maybe legs, and then I'll do maybe glutes and shoulders, and then maybe I'll, come back and just hit chest again or back or what have you. So you're breaking it up. Well, what are some of the variables that can change your outcome? Number one, exercise choice and the application. Okay, so how many sets, how many reps? Any exercise specifically can determine the adaptation, but how you do it is really important, right? So you can do it really slow. Actually, I was thinking of filming this for the members, an eccentric workout. And one of my members wants to learn to do a chin-up right now. And one of the best ways for the body to adapt and learn to do something that's challenging like that is to slow the action down. So instead of just trying to pull up and do a chin-up here, you jump to the top and then you slowly as you can, as slow as you can, do that eccentric phase or the down phase. And again, just by simply shifting that one mechanism, you're going to recruit more muscle fibers and you're going to help the body grow a little bit more. So execution in your exercise is really important, right? Intensity is important. That's going to help change the outcome. Volume is important. That will help change. The amount of rest intervals between the sets, right? Sometimes if we take very little rest in between each exercise, you're going to get some really nice cardiovascular adaptations. You're going to maybe really increase your velocity of oxygen or your VO2 max, right? So we did that a little bit in that workout with Anna and I made her go. Very little break. You had a little 40-second break, but then it was right back into high intensity, challenging things for the heart. And that was a great way for the lungs to go, we're not resting, so we've got to increase our output of oxygen so that her limbs work. And as we do that progressively over time and increase our, speed, right, or duration, or the weight amount, you're going to get more and more fit. So that's excellent. Kath said, I loved that workout with Anna. Well, let's hire her. I loved it too. I just got to stand there. Kim says, I've been reducing or removing rest periods, makes a massive difference. Yeah, okay, so that's excellent. If you don't need them and you want to increase your cardiovascular output during that time, that's great too. Okay, that said, if you're training in this muscular strength, those rest periods are going to be necessary if you're lifting heavy enough. Again, you can still get adaptation if you're going for endurance, which, you basically do when you eliminate rest. You're telling the muscle to endure. Muscular strength would be longer rest periods, higher intensity, heavier weights. Endurance would be less rest periods, lighter weights, longer rep range or higher rep range. So it's very interesting how you can fool with all of these formats and really see a big difference. Progression by weight, reps, and complexity. So again, if you have a progression in your exercise. So for an example, yesterday I filmed a dumbbell complex workout. Well, it's a compilation workout, but it's going to come out next week. And the progression adds complexity to the exercise, which makes the muscles, if you're just doing a simple bicep curl and that's all you're doing, right? you don't have as much muscle recruitment or muscle fiber recruitment as you would if you had a bicep curl press, or if you had a squat bicep curl press, right? So the complexity can help change the outcome as well. Okay, and then frequency, how many times per week, could I do this? That's definitely going to change the outcome. Now, a lot of people use soreness as a metric of a good workout. Does anyone use like, oh, I was so sore. It was a really great workout. I was so sore. That's not necessarily the best metric to use for a workout. Okay. That's not the goal, certainly for hypertrophy. And can anyone tell me why that's not the goal for hypertrophy? Okay. Think about this. Monday, you're deciding I'm going to just give it everything I got. Today's workout, I'm doing glutes and shoulders, and I'm going to hold those weights. I'm going to lift as heavy as I can. And then Tuesday comes and you can't walk. You can't sit down on the toilet. You can't walk on the stairs. Has anyone been in that position where you're so sore? You're like, oh my gosh. Well, now you missed Tuesday's workout because you're too sore, and your delayed onset of muscle soreness, or your DOMS, is even worse on Wednesday, which is often the case at 48 hours after. So you go on Monday, and then you miss Tuesday, and you miss Wednesday, and you don't train again till Thursday. Well, how did that benefit you? Because in the period of a week or even a year, if that is your typical pattern of behavior, right? You're not going to get as many workouts in over the span of a week or a year if you do it this way. And again, we're looking for volume. We want to hit biceps, triceps, shoulders, glutes, quads, core multiple times in a week in order for adaptation and growth to happen. So we need Tuesday, we need Wednesday, we need Thursday, Friday, right? We need all of the days in order to get the workouts in. So don't use sore as a metric. Don't go for sore. Like if you feel your muscles, like today, I feel my muscles from yesterday's workout, but I'm still fine to work out today. I'm going to switch my muscle groups, so I'm fine that way. But remember that like sometimes people just go way too hard. I know beginners always ask me, how much should I lift? And sometimes they'll look at what I'm lifting and try it. But I've been at this for 20 years, right? So start as light as you can. Start with 2s, 3s, 5s. That's it. And you work up to it, right? If you're a little bit sore, that's good. You can feel that. You know that you've torn the muscle fibers. Too sore and it takes you out of the game. And this is not the equation for growth or hypertrophy. Okay, let's move on. How does muscle build? So protein synthesis takes about 24 to 48 hours. So this is important. Any longer than 72 hours and you've probably lost a little bit of opportunity to grow the muscle. So if you have a specific muscle group that you want to grow, let's just take glutes for an example, and you hit glutes on Monday. Typically speaking, if you want to grow those glutes, protein synthesis happens between 24 and 48 hours. So you want to usually do glutes again in that week sometime. So maybe 48 hours afterwards, maybe 72 hours afterwards, but any longer than that, and you've probably lost some of the opportunity to grow that muscle, okay? Volume is important in a given week in hypertrophy. So what you're looking for then, in terms of hypertrophy and specific muscle groups, is to hit between 10 and 15 sets, okay, per week of each specific muscle that you want to grow. Again, some of us have the goal just to have fun in my workout and just to exercise and just to feel good in my skin or whatever. And doing total body workouts for you a little bit every day is great. This is for people who want to build muscle, okay? This is the formula to build muscle right here. So 10 to 15 sets per muscle group per week, and that's not easy to do. In the membership, we do a lot of 4 sets of exercises, or 4 rounds, basically, 4 sets in workouts. So I just gave the girls a leg day the other day, and every leg exercise had 4 rounds. So glutes, 4 rounds, and I think I did about 2 different exercises for glutes. So they got about 8 sets in. So all they would have to do is hit that workout some other time at the end of the week or the middle of the week, and then they would get that 10 to 15 sets in. If I'm trying to build my arms, okay, then I'm focusing on trying to get 10 to 15 sets per muscle group in the week. So that means 10 to 15 sets on biceps, 10 to 15 on triceps, 10 to 15 on shoulders. So this might mean that your workouts have to be, again, a few more sets. You're not just doing one exercise for triceps in a week. I always say this because people are like, how do you get triceps like that? My arms are so flabby and they don't build. I have such a hard time. And I'm like, how many tricep exercises are you doing in a week? Because you have to do 10 to 15 sets of tricep exercises, which mean you might have, 3 times in a week where you're actually building triceps. So this is where you really are trying to build specific muscles in your body. You really want to break it down into more isolated groups. Again, this is how I do the strength stream in our membership. I write the program so that they're focusing on more upper body multiple times a week. They hit legs multiple times a week. But if you're really enjoying just the hey, I like the fusion workouts with some cardio thrown in here and this and that, that's great. Don't hear me say that you shouldn't be doing that. I do weeks where I just do that, okay? Again, I have seasons where I'm building, seasons when I'm maintaining. So, right? Do you guys understand the difference? Is everyone sort of getting that? You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, well, I'm not doing that. I give up. You're not going to do that, right? Yeah, hit the like button if you understand what I'm saying, okay? And drop questions below too. We'll take a look in a second. Okay, so volume's the most important thing in a given week. 10 to 15 sets per muscle group. And 10 is not bad. I mean, that's 2 workouts basically where I could really put some good size on and really allow those muscles to adapt. 10 is the minimum, 10 sets a week per muscle group that you want to grow. According to Andrew Huberman, and I know my girls know that I refer to his podcast a lot. He's a scientist out of Stanford. This is what he says for maintenance, and this is what he says for increasing muscle. For maintenance, what is needed to keep muscle is anywhere between 2 and 20 sets a week. So that's a really big range. I recognize that. But you can get adaptation at 2 sets a week, and you can get it up to 20. And it depends on all these other variables, right? Your volume, your speed, your duration. So all of that is important as well. But you're usually lifting anywhere in between your 30 and 80% of your max. So it's not super heavy. You can lift lighter weights. You can, do a lot of the cardio kickboxing with bar that I put out, or the compound workouts that maybe are a little bit lighter, although those are a little bit heavier. I would say that's more hypertrophy generally speaking because you have to go slower. But you know what I'm saying, some of the lighter weighted workouts. Now, if you want to increase, again, it's anywhere between the 10 and 15 sets per week. Typically, that's going to take you a bit longer. So you're working, generally speaking, in that 45 to 60 minute range. So, it does take time. That's where that time is important here. You got to put the clock, you got to put time in. So that's basically how you maintain and how you increase. Now let's just quickly look at some of the variables that happen in menopause, okay? So yeah, there's the formula. Now what happens because we're losing estrogen? Can we do this? Yikes. Well, according to Dr. Tamsin Lewis, and I've got an abstract here from her, she's an expert in the field of aging and hormones. With the decline in estrogen, this changes up the body's preference for fat storage, and maybe you've noticed this. It becomes prone to be stored around your middle. No, thank you, but what are we going to do? So if you're in menopause, you have less of the driving molecules or the hormones which augment the adaptation to exercise. So you're retaining insulin sensitivity, which is going to directly help with fat accumulation around the abdomen. So what do we need to do? We need to improve our insulin sensitivity. Now, how do we do that? Kim has posted lots about this, about the glucose goddess. Lots of us follow her over on Instagram. She really is like the easiest person to follow in terms of how to begin to understand what it means to track your glucose and have lower spikes in glucose, okay? So I'm not going to pretend I'm the expert in this. Definitely follow her. I think Kim linked her already at the beginning of the week. Again, look under the menopause guide if you need more information about that. Here's some other ways to begin to improve your insulin sensitivity. A lot of us use the time-restricted feeding or intermittent fasting as a protocol. Smash the like button if you use that as a protocol. It's nice because you're eating in a specific eating window and you're not eating all day long, right? Sometimes when we eat all day long for 16 hours.
Could you say that again?
No.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
She does that all the time. We have more opportunities to spike our insulin, especially if we're not eating our complex carbohydrates with clothes on or with fat and protein. So we want to eat those things at the same time. Number two, lifting in the gym or lifting weights is really important. It's a great way to help the body become less insulin or improve your insulin sensitivity. And by working big muscle groups. Okay, like lots of legs, lots of quads, lots of chest, lots of back. Okay, that's a great way to help do that. Number three, tracking your glucose. Lots of people have these glucose monitors now, not even people who are diabetic, but it's something that you can get. I'm actually would be very interested. I've heard a lot of studies and a lot of science around people who track their glucose and how they see it even fluctuate when they go into a hot sauna or have hot bath or do a cold water immersion or from what they eat or when they train. Like it's really interesting and telling. So that's a way that you can do it. I know the Glucose Goddess has a new book out called The Glucose Revolution. I'll link it here after the session as well. So that's a great way to begin to understand that a little bit more. And finally, even just following something like the Mediterranean diet that is high in healthy fats, plant-based proteins, lots of healthy fatty fish proteins, complex carbohydrates that are high in fiber. So all of those things help prevent our glucose from spiking and can improve our insulin sensitivity. All right, osteoporosis, sustaining your muscle mass as you age is so important, right? This will be key in preventing or slowing down osteoporosis. According to the literature, so we're losing a half a pound a year in muscle, but we're also losing bone mass, right? According to the literature, the level of bone loss in postmenopausal women increases with age at the rate of 1% a year after the age of 40. And some reports actually say after the age of 30, we start to decline. So one of the reasons why it's important to move daily is because as estrogen declines, it compounds our disease risk factors from female to male pattern. So while we're healthier when we're younger, as soon as we hit menopause, all of a sudden we're sort of similar to our counterparts, our male counterparts. It puts women at equal risk for coronary heart disease as it does with men. So lots of reasons to lift weights, lots of reasons to move daily, lots of reasons to increase your muscle mass. I'm glad you're a part of this group and that you're listening to this talk today because hopefully you're motivated to continue what you're doing. I would love to hear something that you might be shifting in the future. What do you think you're going to do? What's going to be something that you do a little bit different after hearing this talk today? How would you like to train a little bit differently? Let us know in the comments below. I'm really interested in hearing that. But at the end of the day, if you've heard nothing else, recognize this. It is critical for longevity, for posture, to stave off diseases that you move daily. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a strict protocol of weekly resistance training. Moving daily is going to increase circulation, which decreases inflammation, disease, and decay. And if you're doing that, you are winning in my books. Okay, this talk was for those who really want to build muscle in menopause. And there's a certain way to go about it. So, all right, thanks again for joining, everyone. I'm going to just take a quick look in the comments here to see if I can see what you all are saying. I see them just kind of going, but sometimes I lose my concentration if I stop and read them. Jody says, I never knew this regarding the number of sets. Yes, lots of volume. Let's see what else. Kelly says your hair looks great today. I parted it the other way. That's why. Good noticing skills. Kathy says my quads were so sore after the power bar and strength. Yeah, lots of quads in that, isn't there? Okay. Can you do biceps back like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or is that too much? No. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That is good. That's a good 48 hours in between. Yeah, you totally can. If that is a goal to begin to build that, remember to keep things balanced though, right? Like if you're an athlete with a specific sport, you might be overtraining certain areas. Like swimmers are going to have huge lats and shoulders because that's their sport. But for back and biceps, if you're like, you know what, I really just want to build these areas, you could even do a little periodization training where you're going to take a month and you're going to say, okay, in this month, I'm going to do every 48 hours, I'm going to hit back and biceps and sort of track my progress, see how much I can grow in the month. And then you might really see some adaptation. So you might want to go, okay, well, now that's good. Let's back that off to like twice a week and add another muscle group that I really want to work on, focus on. But yeah, 48 to 72 hours. Again, you can sort of see how sore you are and how you feel, but I think that's a good idea. What did you do? I'm just looking at comments here. Any other comments? Okay, I'm just going to scroll to the very bottom here. Yeah. All right, everyone. Good. Let's keep having these conversations because they're important. And just as I sign off, again, our membership is all about kind of doing this stuff. So we have conversations like this all of the time, lots of coaching like this. So if you really are like want to take your fitness, wellness, nutrition to the next level, it's a great place to be. Right now we have a quite intense program going on with the women of just being accountable to the group and tracking our goals and moving towards targets with lots of vigor, like just we're gonna do it this time type of mentality. So it's good. I'll put a link to the membership as well, or of course you can ask Kim any questions that you like. You'll find her on the page lots. All right, everyone, thanks for joining. Go move daily in your muscle building. Okay, don't stop, and yeah, keep sharing your information and your journey with us on the page because we love to hear about it. All right, see you folks.